So, what if your employee doesn't want to return to work? Yep, that's a thorny one, but I'll give you some answers. Stay tuned. Hi entrepreneurs, I'm Vicky Brown, and you're in the right place if you want to engage your team, boost your business, and grow your leadership muscle. You know, there are a variety of reasons an employee might tell you that they don't want to return to work just yet. Maybe they think they'll make more money staying on unemployment, but the facts are that if they're called back to work and refuse to return, they won't continue to be eligible for unemployment. And that includes the federal boost of $600 per week, which, by the way, ends on July 31st. Another reason may be medically related. Maybe they don't have COVID, but they do have an underlying medical condition. Or their physician simply says they should stay away from the workplace for an additional period of time. This would most likely fall under the American with Disabilities Act protections. Broadly speaking, you'll engage the employee in what we call an interactive discussion, so you can determine what they feel they need to return to work. Maybe they need more time off. Maybe they want a staggered schedule. Maybe they want to continue to work remotely. The key here is that it's not just what the employee wants to do, but what their physician says they need to do. So once the doctor provides a note with whatever restrictions they advise, you then go back to the discussion table with the employee to figure out what's needed and what the company is willing to provide. Another situation that might fall under ADA is if the employee has someone at home with an underlying medical condition, because the ADA also covers discrimination for associating with someone with a disability. Listen, ADA situations are complex, so before you start this type of process, consult with your employment attorney. The employee's medical reason may be COVID-19 related. If they have been diagnosed, then they'll likely fall under the Families First Act, which was passed to protect workers who can't work due to COVID-19 related reasons. If your company has 500 or fewer employees, then the employee would be eligible for 2 weeks at 100% pay and possibly another 12 weeks of job protection under the Family Medical Leave Act. This portion would be unpaid. It only applies to you if your business has 50 or more employees. Now, if they haven't yet been diagnosed, but they suspect that they've been exposed, then they need to get tested. If they're negative, they have to return to work. If they're positive, they would fall under the Families First Act and possibly FMLA coverage that I just mentioned. On a different front, maybe they're having childcare issues because of closures related to COVID-19. Now, if that's the case, they would also be protected under the Families First Act. This time for 2 weeks at 100% pay and another 10 weeks at 66% pay. Now, what if the employee doesn't want to return to work because they're just scared? While strictly speaking, your obligation as an employer might technically allow you to take that as a resignation, I strongly recommend against this path with our clients. After all, the objective is to get your valuable employee back to work as quickly as possible and make sure they remain as productive as possible. First, you want to determine if the fear is related to a medical reason, because if it is, it might fall under the medical reasons category we just covered. But if not, you might want to use various tools at your disposal to provide them more time to adjust. You might allow them to use accrued, unused sick or vacation time, or you might give them unpaid leave. A few things to keep in mind though. Be consistent. If you use these options for one employee and another employee presents with the same set of circumstances, you have to treat them the same way. And don't let this go on for too long. I recommend with our clients that they not extend the use of more than 2 weeks of additional time. Generally, that should be enough time for your team member to get settled with the concept of returning to work. Another possibility is that they're completely stressed out. Being at work in the current environment makes them crazy. In that case, it actually might be something to turn over to your workers' compensation carrier. They'll determine how stressed the employee is, how much of it is work-related, and they'll handle the case accordingly. Now, I know we all get really squirmish as business owners when we think of calling in workers' comp, but that's what they're there for. And it's better to call them in early and let them manage the case than to find out later it should have been a workers' comp case, but you didn't report it in a timely manner, and now you have to pay out of pocket for everything. If an employee's fear is around your company's cleaning or screening protocols, I absolutely suggest you work with employment counsel so that you can develop a path to addressing those particular needs. And finally, there is one other category. The employee who says, look, I'm much more productive working from home, so I want to continue to do that. As the employer, you have every right to determine which positions are eligible for remote work and which aren't. If you're considering a limited time compromise, think about something like 2 days remote and 3 days in the office, or 3 days remote and 2 days in the office, or something similar. But it's completely up to you. And I'll say it again. Remember, the goal is to get your valuable employee back to work as quickly as possible and make sure they remain as productive as possible. So don't get all wrapped up in the tango you have to do now in order to get them back and to get them productive. Keep your eye on your long-term vision. I put a chart together to help guide you through the various options. Just use the link below to get your free copy. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe and share. And remember, your inspired leadership is the secret sauce to having a high-performance team and a wildly successful business you'll love. I'll see you next time on Leader's Journey.